Hi there, it's Asia, and today my IELTS reading score is band 9. Yes, in the last test I finally achieved a perfect 9, which I'm really happy about. In the previous 2 tests I got 8.5. But I still remember how intimidating this test was when I took it for the very first time to study for my master's degree in London. I couldn't understand everything, and it felt like there was very little time, but I still managed to get an 8 back then. And today I'd like to share with you my tips that will help you perform better in your test and hopefully achieve a higher score. Okay, let's get started. Let me quickly tell you about the exam format and then we'll move on and talk about the tips. IELTS reading lasts for 60 minutes. You get 40 questions split into 3 sections. And questions generally get harder as you progress. The tests are slightly different for academic and general training students. Academic students get 3 longer passages and general training students get 5, sometimes 6 shorter passages. Academic students need to answer 30 questions for band 7 and 35 for band 8. They get more scientific, more difficult texts. General training students get easier passages and they will be expected to answer more questions correctly for the same score. Basically, they need 34 correct answers for band 7 and 38 for band 8. Now let's discuss how you can answer all 40 questions in 60 minutes. In IELTS reading, you have a lot to read. And most likely you won't even understand everything because this section demands the widest vocabulary out of all 4 IELTS sections. And you have just 60 minutes. So the pressure will be high and time management is key. The official guidance says that you should spend 20 minutes on each section, 20, 20, 20. The truth is that questions in the first section are the easiest, and you need less time to answer them. And questions in the last section are the hardest, and 20 minutes is probably most likely it's not enough to answer them. So I think you should spend about 15 minutes on the first section, 20 on the second, and 25 on the third. Then you have the best chance to answer all the questions that you can answer quickly. If your English skills allow for that, you should go through your test even more quickly and have some time left at the end to go back to the questions you missed and try to find those answers. And you need to track time. If you take a computer-based exam, it's not a problem. The timer will be on the screen. But if you take a paper-based exam, there will be a clock on the wall. You're not allowed to have your own watch. And under all this stress, you may simply forget what time you started. So as soon as the section starts, write down the time on the sheet. Then you always know how much time is left. Invigilators will tell you when you have 10 minutes left and 5 minutes left. My big strategy here is to start with questions. Here's what I mean. If you read the passage first and then attempt to answer questions, you're likely gonna spend much more time doing that. That's because you have to read the whole passage attentively because you don't know which information you will need. And also, by the time you get to questions, you will forget little details and you will have to go back to the text and find those bits because remembering just the general idea is not enough in IELTS reading. The good thing is that most questions come in order. You can read the question, start reading the text, find your answer, read the next question, find your answer, and so on. In this case, you save time because when you feel that your answer is not there, you can read quickly and then slow down when you feel that that's a sentence or sentences which contain the answer. And you spend your time, you reread the question, you find the answer, then you read the next question and you continue. Some questions don't come in order. For example, matching headings. But still, you don't have to read the whole passage. You can read the first paragraph, find your answer, the next paragraph, find your answer. Then you always know what you need to concentrate on, and it saves time. I have a detailed video describing this strategy and all the types of questions which come in order and which don't come in order, and I will link it in the description box below. My next tip is don't rush. I know you have little time, but if you don't read your questions carefully, your options, or sentences which contain answers, you will make mistakes which you could easily avoid. You save time on answering questions as you read the passage. You also save time on reading some sentences of your text quickly because you know they don't contain your answer. But when you find the sentence which contains the answer, you should read it carefully, reread the sentence if you need. Otherwise, you simply leave points on the table. And also, you have to read the whole passage. Even though you can read some sentences quickly and some more slowly and attentively, you have to read everything. Don't try to crack the test by reading the first sentence of each paragraph or by just looking for keywords in the text. Those tactics don't work in IELTS reading. The next tip is don't spend too much time on any single question. Some answers are really difficult to locate. But if you spend too much time on a single question, you may still not find the correct answer, but you lose the ability to answer several questions that you could answer. So first, go through all the questions, and then, if you have some time at the end, go back to those you skipped and try to locate your answer. Every time I take an IELTS reading test, I mark several questions to review, and I go back to them at the end of the test and spend much more time on every question because I know that I've answered all the other questions already. The next tip is use keywords. These are the main words in your questions, in the options, in the text that will help you understand what this sentence is about. So if you use keywords, they help you concentrate on what information you're looking for. And in the text, they help you navigate in your long passage. But don't look for the same words in your questions, in your options, and in the text. IELTS reading is built in such a way that correct answers are paraphrased. They use different words. And if you look for the same word, those are usually used in incorrect options. Those are traps. So look for the meaning, look for synonyms, and not for the keyword in the option and in the text. That will not help. When you're reading the passage, highlight all the names, surnames, locations, names of theories, dates. They will help you to find information if you need to go back to this passage later. So how can you highlight keywords? In a computer-based exam, you have a function to highlight them in yellow. And in a paper-based exam, you can simply underline them. You should also cross out incorrect answers. Let's say you have 4 options. If you eliminate 2, you'll be selecting between just 2 of them and have a better chance of guessing what the correct answer is. And answer all the questions at the very end. Even if you don't know what those answers are, select one. You always have a chance to guess correctly, and you don't lose any points for incorrect answers. And let's talk about transferring your answers. So if you take a computer-based test, you don't need to transfer your answers anywhere, you just select them on the screen straight away. But if you take a paper-based test, you'll be selecting your answers on the question sheets first, and then you need to transfer them to the answer sheet. But you don't get any extra time to do that like in IELTS listening. So don't leave it until the end. You finish the first section, transfer your answers. You finish the second section, transfer your answers. Third, transfer. And only then, when you have just a few gaps left for those questions you were not certain about, then you go back and you try to find those answers. And on the last minutes of the test. If you don't know, just answer something. Oh yes, and don't try to answer on the question sheet directly, because that will be distracting you from the task. You need to concentrate and choose the correct answer and select the correct letter and write it in the correct box. So don't do that during the test. Find your answers for the first section, then transfer them. That will give you a 1 minute break, and then you concentrate on the next passage and so on. Now let's talk about the format of your answers. You can write them in capital letters or in small letters, or capitalize the first letter, it doesn't matter. When you're answering true, false, not given and yes, no, not given questions, you can just write T or N or NG not given. That's fine. And actually, even if you write no instead of false or true instead of yes, those will still be counted as correct answers, so don't worry about that. But pay attention to your spelling. If you have a spelling mistake, it's an incorrect answer. If you take a computer-based test and you need to copy a word, you can actually select the word and press Ctrl-C, copy, and then Ctrl-V to paste it in the gap. Then you're guaranteed that the spelling is correct. And if you're taking a paper-based exam, then, well, you need to copy those words carefully. And if you're wondering if Ctrl-F works to search for certain words, then no, it doesn't. If you're wondering what it's like to take the IELTS exam on the computer, I personally find it pretty convenient, and it's great for IELTS reading because you have the passage and questions right next to each other. And you don't need to transfer your answers anywhere, you simply click on them and that's it, so you save a couple of minutes. But it all depends on whether you're comfortable typing your answers in IELTS writing, or you're better off writing them by hand. And that is what will decide which format is better for you. Now let's talk about preparation. I think you should definitely prepare for the most difficult types of tasks. And for most people, these are true, false, not given, yes, no, not given, and matching headings. You need to have your strategy. Then you know what you need to do, and you can find more answers in less time. But those are big topics, so I have 2 separate videos with strategies and practice tasks linked below. And what you do to prepare for your test really depends on how much time you have. And I have a separate video where I explain how you should prepare in 1 week, in 1 month, in 3 months, with PDF study plans which you can download, and this video is right on the screen. So thank you so much for watching me today. Good luck with your preparation and your exam. Bye!